welcome. I'm Shivani Singh. In the Middle East, military exercises are rarely just about practice. They're about signaling. And right now, the signal coming from Washington is loud, clear, and incredibly dangerous. As we speak, the United States 9th Air Force has launched a massive multi-day readiness exercise across the Middle East. This isn't your standard annual drill. It's happening just 24 hours after a US carrier strike group, what Donald Trump actually calls his big Armada, entered the region. And the timing? It's anything but a coincidence. Iran is currently in the grip of its deadliest internal unrest in decades. The rial has collapsed, the streets are on fire, and the death toll from the regime's crackdown is climbing into the thousands. Is this a routine exercise to maintain readiness? Or are we watching the final rehearsal for a US strike on Tehran? We look at the hardware, the Armada rhetoric, and the high-stakes hydropolitics of a region on the brink. Let's look at what is exactly happening in the skies. The US Air Force's central base says that there is a readiness exercise to demonstrate its ability to deploy, disperse, and sustain combat air power. Now pay attention to that word, disperse. In modern warfare, large air bases like the Al Duaid in Qatar are sitting ducks for Iranian ballistic missiles. The US is now practicing what they call Agile combat employment. They are moving personnel and fighter jets to small contingency locations, strips of deserts, civilian airports, and remote hubs. And what's the message? You can't hit us at all once. So by validating this rapid setup and launch procedures with minimal footprints, the US is preparing for a high-intensity conflict where traditional bases might be compromised. They are practicing how to fight a war after an initial Iranian volley. Then there is the Armada. The USS Abraham Lincoln has officially arrived in the region, bringing with it nearly 5,000 sailors and a swarm of F-35s and Super Hornets. Donald Trump hasn't been shy about the optics. In his latest Truth Social posts, he's bragged that the force is bigger than Venezuela and bigger than anything Iran has seen. Trump's rhetoric has been a roller coaster. On one hand, he says that he doesn't want a war. On the other, he's telling Iranian protesters that help is on the way. This is a classic maximum pressure tactic, but with a 2026 twist. Last year, the US conducted strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Now, the buildup is even more comprehensive, with F-15E Strike Eagles landing in Jordan and destroyers flanking the carrier. The Pentagon is making sure that if the order comes, the Armada won't just bark, it will bite. But why the sudden urgency? Look at the map of Iran. The country is facing an existential crisis. The rial is trading at over 1 million to $1 US. Savings have vanished, and since early January, millions have taken to the streets. The regime's response has been brutal. Human rights groups estimate that over 6,000 people have been killed in just the last few weeks. This isn't just a protest, it's a revolution in the making. Washington is using this crackdown as its moral high ground. Trump has warned Tehran that mass executions of protesters will be met with a military response. Iran, meanwhile, has draped a massive banner in Tehran's Revolution Square, showing the destruction of an American aircraft carrier. They are calling it a hybrid war and warning of all-out war if a single US bomb drops on their soil. Here is where it gets complicated for Washington. While the US is flexing its muscle, its regional partners are getting cold feet. The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia have made one thing very clear: they're neutral. The UAE Foreign Ministry has stated that it will not allow its airspace or territory to be used for any attack on Iran. They've seen this movie before. They knew that if the US strikes Iran from their soil, they will be the first ones to face Iranian retaliation. Even as the US conducts defensive drills with Bahrain to down the drones, the lack of a unified Arab front makes a substantial campaign much harder. Washington is finding that while it can bring the Armada to the Gulf, it cannot force its allies to hand over the keys to the kingdom. So what's the bottom line? This multi-day military exercise isn't just about training pilots. It is about conditioning the region for the possibility of a limited but high-value strike. The US is testing its dispersal. It is testing its logistics, and it is testing Iran's nerves. If the crackdown in Iran continues and the Armada stays in the Indian Ocean, the line between an exercise and an operation will become thinner by the day. In the Middle East, the wind usually blows before the storm. Right now, it is howling. Thanks for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.